I used to work the night shifts at a hospital. I know, classic start to a scary story, right? But trust me, some clichés exist for a reason. The job was never easy, and the nights were a different beast altogether. You think a hospital is bustling during the day. At night, it's the opposite. The silence is so heavy it feels like it's pressing down on you. The hallways stretch out, feeling longer and colder, with the only sounds being the constant low hum of the fluorescent lights and the occasional distant beep from a machine, reminding you that life and death are always just a heartbeat away. It was one of those nights, probably around 3 a.m., the true witching hour. I was walking down the east corridor, clipboard in hand, doing my rounds. But I was half asleep, running on lukewarm coffee and sheer willpower. The floor was polished to a mirror shine, reflecting the sterile lights above, making the hallway seem endless. And that's when I saw it. At the very end of the corridor, where the light seemed to dim and pool into darkness, stood a figure, a dark, tall silhouette. My first thought wasn't fear, it was just exhaustion. Great, I muttered to myself, another wanderer. It wasn't unusual for a disoriented patient to leave their room. So I started walking, my rubber-soled shoes making soft squeaks on the linoleum. But as I got a little closer, something felt off. The figure wasn't moving, not an inch, just standing there, perfectly still. That's when the first prickle of unease started crawling up my spine. The stillness was unnatural. Patients fidget, they sway, they look around. This was like a statue carved from shadow. I cupped my hand to my mouth and called out, trying to keep my voice calm and gentle. "Sir, ma'am, are you okay? Do you need help getting back to your room?" My voice echoed in the empty hall, but there was no response. Nothing, just that silent, dark shape at the end of my path. My footsteps slowed. The closer I got, the more wrong it felt. It wasn't just the lack of movement. It was the figure itself. It wasn't wearing patient robes or street clothes. It didn't seem to be a person at all. It was too dark, a void in the shape of a man, darker than any shadow the dim hallway should have been able to cast. It was like looking at a hole in reality. A piece of the night sky cut out and pasted into the corridor. A shadow standing on its own, without a body to cast it. I froze, about halfway down the hall. A cold dread, colder than the hospital's air conditioning, washed over me. Every instinct, every primal alarm bell in my brain started screaming at me. Asterisk, don't get any closer. Turn around, run. Asterisk, my hand was gripping the clipboard so tightly my knuckles were white. My heart was a drum against my ribs, loud enough that I was sure the figure could hear it, even from that distance. And then it moved. But it didn't move like a person. It didn't turn. It didn't take a step. The shadow slid. It slid sideways across the far wall, stretching and contorting like black paint being smeared. It elongated, its limbs bending at impossible, horrifying angles that no human body could ever manage. It flowed like liquid darkness, silent and smooth, before slipping under the crack of a door to one of the patient rooms. One moment it was there, a terrifying presence, and the next it was gone, absorbed into the room. For a second I couldn't breathe. My mind was racing, trying to find a logical explanation. A trick of the light, a hallucination brought on by sleep deprivation. But it had felt so real. The fear was real. My hammering heart was real. Against my better judgment, against every screaming survival instinct I had, my training kicked in. What if it was a person? What if they were in trouble? I forced my legs to move. My footsteps now hurried and loud in the oppressive silence. I ran the rest of the way down the hall to that room. The door was slightly ajar, just as I'd seen the shadow slip into it. I pushed it open. The room was dark. My hand fumbled for the light switch on the wall, my fingers trembling. I flicked it on. The fluorescent light flickered to life, bathing the room in its cold, sterile glow, empty. The room was completely empty. The bed was perfectly made, the sheets crisp and untouched. The heart monitor and other machines were silent, their screens dark. The air was still and cold. I checked my clipboard. Room 314. I knew this room. No patient had been assigned to it for weeks. It was one of the rooms we kept ready for overflow. I stood there in the doorway, my mind reeling. The silence of the empty room was somehow more terrifying than the figure in the hall. It was proof that what I saw wasn't a patient. It wasn't a person. It was something else. I tried to rationalize it. I told myself that fatigue was a powerful thing, that it can make you see things that aren't there. I had been working long hours, after all. Maybe I had just drifted off for a second while walking. A waking dream, that had to be it. I took a deep, shaky breath, the sterile hospital smell filling my lungs, and turned to leave the room. Ready to put this bizarre incident behind me and finish my rounds. I just wanted to get back to the relative safety of the brightly lit nurses' station. But as I turned, I caught something out of the corner of my eye. A flicker of movement in the hallway I had just come from. I froze, my hand still on the doorframe. I slowly, hesitantly, looked back down the corridor, and my blood ran cold. There, pressed flat against the wall, just outside the doorway, as if it had been waiting for me to turn my back, was the shape of a tall shadow. It was waiting. Thanks for listening to my story. If you have any of your own chilling experiences, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Stay safe out there.